Hello everyone, today we will talk about jRDC2. RDC is Remote Database Connector. The purpose of jRDC2 or RDC is to make it simple to connect to remote databases. All popular databases are supported. The SQL commands are set on the server side, which makes it safer than other solutions. And it is fast and powerful and also simple to use. There are several options that you can find in the forum to connect to remote databases. There is a PHP script that allows connecting to MySQL databases. The only reason to use this script is if you have a server without full access and you can only run PHP. In all other cases, avoid using this solution. There is another similar solution based on ASP.NET to connect to MS SQL. In B4A, there is a library named JDBS SQL. It is similar to B4J SQL library. It allows to directly connect to a remote database. Connecting directly to a database is not only suitable for small solutions, in-house solutions. It is hard to maintain. Not all databases are supported. Many of the drivers are not built for remote connections from a mobile device, and the security of such solutions is problematic. RDC, this is what we are talking about. This is a middleware server. The clients connect to RDC, and RDC executes the queries or commands and returns the results. The first version was named RDC and it was written in Java. Then there was jRDC, which was very similar to RDC but written in B4J. And the latest version is jRDC2, which is also written in B4J. It is simpler, faster, and is based on B4X serializator. There is no reason to use RDC or jRDC. Always start with the latest version. To conclude, in almost all cases, jRDC2 is your best option if you want to connect to a remote database. There are three components involved: the database server itself, the MySQL, MariaDB, or any other database you like. jRDC2 HTTP server, this is the B4J server. The clients, the code between B4A, B4I, or B4J clients is exactly the same. They all use the same class module. There is also an extension to jRDC2 that allows to connect to jRDC2 over MQTT and use it with B4R. Let's start with the server configuration. I've installed a WAMP server on this PC. This is a good way to start. It includes a MySQL database and an Apache HTTP server. I've created a database named example. There's a table named cities. The first step is to find the JDBC jar. The JDBC driver is the component that connects between the SQL library, which is a generic library, and the specific database that you are using. If we want to connect to a MariaDB database, we will search for JDBC driver. We can download it here, and we also need to find the driver class and the connection URL. It should be documented somewhere over here. You can already see it here. This is the connection string. I've downloaded jRDC2 from the tutorial here. I've also downloaded the JDBC driver of MySQL and copied it to the additional libraries folder. And I'm adding a reference to the JDBC driver with this line. You can see the driver over here. This is the B4J additional libraries folder. There is a configuration file in the Files tab. we need to set the driver class. It is set by default for the MySQL driver. jDBC URL, this is the connection string. In this case, the MySQL database is running on the same PC, so I'm using localhost, and the name of the database is example. Username, password, the server port. Now don't confuse this port with the database port. This is jRDC2 port. And we are ready to run our very first test. The red lines are always printed in server solutions. And I'm starting with the test query. Like this. I used the localhost IP, port number, and the test handler. And this message means that it successfully connected to the database. Most errors will happen before this step. In most cases, if the password is wrong, for example, let's change the username, restart jRDC2. We can see over here that it tries to connect to the database server. And this is the error fetching connection. If this is the first time that you are running jRDC2, then it is worth repeating the same test from the mobile device. So this is the device browser. You can see that I'm now using the PC IP address. If it works from the PC browser and doesn't work from the device browser, then it means that you haven't opened RDC port in Windows Firewall. RDC port is 17,178. This is the default value. Now we are ready to set the SQL commands. Back to the configuration file. And we can see the commands over here. Each command starts with SQL dot and the name of the command and the statement itself. Let's start with a query that gets all countries. Get cities of a specific country. Where country. This is a parameterized query. Get city information. Saved it. Now I'm switching to the B4A client. I'm adding DB request manager. It was downloaded from the tutorial. And we can see that the first step is to add to the main module the types and the link. like this. We need to add HTTP utils to random access file, and that's it. The reason that we need to add these two types to the main module was discussed in a previous tutorial where I've talked about before X serializator. If you are sending or receiving custom types from a different app or a different platform, the types must be declared in the main module. And RDC link, RDC IP address, this is again the PC IP address, the port, and the handler, which is always RDC. We are over here. We need to add these two subs. Okay, we have the layout. Example of sending a select request. I'll use it. Get countries. We don't need to send any parameter in this case. First, we are creating a request. Then we are creating a command, the name of the command and the parameters. The name of the command is get all countries, and there are no parameters. Here we are sending the request and the result is available over here. There is a useful utility method named print table that print the results. We'll keep it. Let's start with this code. Nothing happened because jRDC wasn't running. Eventually it will fail with a timeout. Let's restart it. Okay, good. We can see here the output of print table. There is a single column named country and there are 405 rows. We want to fill the first spinner with the countries. The result is a DB result. It has a tag which you will usually never use. It was useful, the tag was useful like many other tags before the resumable subs feature was available. There is a map that maps between the column names and their index. and there is a list with the rows. Each item is an array of objects. In our case, there will be exactly a single element in each row. Let's clear spinner and row like this, and we can already try it. We can see that the list is not sorted and that there are many duplicates because many of the countries appear multiple times in our database. Let's improve the query. When RDC is running in debug mode, and it is running in debug mode right now, we can update the commands without restarting the server. So select distinct order by country. We want to remove the duplicates and to set the order. Let's try it. And we can see that the list of countries is now sorted and there are no duplicates, which is good. Next step is to get the list of cities when the user clicks on a country. Create a new request, create a new command. The name of the command is get cities and it expects the country name. Send the command and wait for the result. Limit. If we can set a limit on the number of rows that will be returned. We're not using it, and the tag is set to null. Handle job async. The result will again include a single column with the city. So it is very similar to this code. Spinner city. We can also improve it if size larger. Already get like this. Already load the data for the first country. This is a mistake, of course. It should be spinner country. We can see that it works. Now we are ready for the last step, which is to get all the information. This time we'll call getCityInformation. Let's use it as the base for our code. And we need to pass two values. Selected item and spinner city selected item. The number of items that we send should always be the same as the number of question marks. 2 in this case. Let's see the result. Like this. We can again, if we're not using the value, let's skip it. Again. Okay, Afghanistan, Kabul, and we can see in the logs there are 4 columns, the columns names, and there is a single row. Let's say that we want to get the longitude and the latitude. So we know that there will be a single result. Rows get, there will always be a single row because a country and a city uniquely define a specific row, and we know that the longitude value will be in index number 2, and the other way to do it, which is a bit more robust, is like this. And it should be row, not res. We are finding the column index from the columns map, and then we are getting the value. Lat long, and we can try it. Okay, it works. We need to format it. And it is more or less ready. Just to complete, I will show how to insert data. Let's go back to the commands. I'm creating an insert command. We are going to the tutorial and copying the insert record example. The command name is add city, and we need to add 4 values. New country, new city, and the invalid location. Let's try it. Note that we are calling execute batch. Now execute batch expects a list of commands. In this case we are only sending a single command. However, we can send many commands at once, which is faster than sending each command separately. It was inserted successfully. The new country will most probably not show. If we want to first add the city and wait for it to complete, then we can do it like this. Change it. If you're not familiar with this syntax, then go over the resumable subs tutorial. Now I will run it again. It will probably, the first one should fail. Because there is a primary key. Let's see. It failed because we have already inserted the country. When there is an error, it is always good to also check the server logs. Duplicate entry, new city, new country for key primary. However, it still works. We can, here is our new country, new city, and lat and lon. So that's it. Note that jRDC also supports blobs. They are automatically converted to arrays of bytes. And the same code that we have used over here can be used in before J or before I. Thank you.